Hi folks, my name is Marissa Hemstreet. I am the Communications Coordinator for the Indian Health Center of Santa Clara Valley, working in the Development and Communications Department. You're listening to IHC's Podcast. Today's topic is Culture is Medicine, a youth perspective from Neela Samayoa.
Hi, Neela. My name is Marissa. I'm from the Indian Health Center. I'm the Communications Coordinator, currently working in our Development and Communications Department. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So my name is Neela Samayoa. I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior. And I recently did just become the Stockton Community Powwow Princess 2023 to 2024. So that's a little fun fact about me.
And congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about your family origins, your origin story?
Yeah, for sure. So family origin story itself, my dad was born and raised here in San Jose on the south side, so he's kind of lived here his entire life. And my mom actually was born in Mexicali, Baja California in Mexico, and she moved here when she was about, I want to say 8, and she's lived in San Jose ever since then. So both of my parents are, were raised in San Jose essentially. So was I, but my origin story, I always think that it's kind of cool because, my parents met, they were together for about 12 years and they thought that they couldn't have kids. The doctors told my mom that she couldn't have kids. And so they had actually decided that they were going to start traveling. They were going to go to Europe. They were going to buy a boat. They were going to do all this stuff, a little pontoon. And my dad had a best friend. His name was Ross Gritz. And they used to go to our Sundance. Ross Gritz used to go to our Sundance. And when you do Sundance, you do a 4-year commitment. And unfortunately, he passed away right before his 4th year. So my dad decided in order to honor his best friend, he would go and finish out his 4th year for him and do his giveaway for him. And he finished out his friend's 4th year. And he prayed at the tree. He gave his all to that ceremony. And when he came back a couple weeks later, my mom was pregnant. And so they kind of say, my entire family, they kind of say I'm a Sundance baby, like I came from that tree. So that's kind of my personal origin story.
That's awesome. Not everybody has a birth story or an origin story like that. So it's really awesome. For me, meeting you in community, I've met you most around like powwows and things like that. So can you tell us a little bit how you got into powwow dancing? What brought you closer to your cultural dancing?
Yeah, for sure. So my dad actually used to be he still is a men's northern traditional dancer. And he mainly danced in the, 80s, 90s, a little bit of the 2000s, up to right before I was born. And he kind of stepped away from the community for a little bit. So growing up, I actually wasn't so much in the powwow community itself. I would still talk to my cousins that powwowed, my aunties that powwowed. But it was pretty much like me and my dad, and he would kind of just teach me while we were at home. And, when you're young, when you're little, when you're 5 or 6, you don't really think much about our other kids learning how to sing powwow songs and sing sweat songs and all that stuff. You just kind of do it yourself and you carry that on yourself. And as I got older, I think my dad really did start realizing, that I was kind of separated because, where I went to school and all that, I was the only Native student there. There was a lot of Latino students, so I did get the privilege of being able to, connect with my Latino side or my Latino culture. But my Native side was really just being kind of fostered at home. And so my mom and dad kind of thought okay, I think once I got to the age about 13, they really started coming back into the community for me because they kind of realized that I needed that community, because I think we all have that sense where we're stronger together in a sense. So, when you're growing up 13 years old, San Jose, there's a bunch of stuff around you. You really don't know. There's a bunch of different paths you can take. And so when you're trying yourself to be an Indigenous individual and it's just, you and your father, it's a little bit hard because you don't really know where to turn. And it's you only see you two and you see all these other kids, doing other stuff and partaking in these other activities. that you're like, oh, like everyone else does that, you know, kind of like that herd mentality. But when you see your own community, when you get out there to the powwows, to the ceremonies even, it's different. It makes you be like, dang, like there is other people out there like me, you know, like you see it, you hear it, and it's like, all right, like everything makes sense now, kind of.
Yeah, I definitely can relate to that. You know, moving here I'm actually from Stockton.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the Stockton Princess. Yes, but out there as well was a similar journey. In my school, the only natives there were me and my sister.
Yeah.
And so, you know, you feel really disconnected. Again, there's a really big Hispanic population throughout California, which is awesome. I do feel that a lot of Hispanic, Latino identifying people are also indigenous. And so it's just really nice to get in touch with my indigeneity because I'm also I'm half Navajo and half Mexican.
Yeah.
And so it's just kind of like, oh, I'm not Mexican enough to be with the Mexicans. I'm not Native enough to be with the natives. So it's kind of, you have to find your own path. And it's, your story is not too dissimilar to mine in the sense that you found your community here in San Jose, because it wasn't until I moved to San Jose in 2014 that I started to feel more in touch with it. I mean, we are native. It's not, there's no test for your indigeneity.
Exactly. That's like a very common thing that honestly I feel like sometimes is not talked about enough, and you would think that it would be. And I feel like sometimes I talk to people and they're like, oh yeah, like, you know, like Mexicanos or Latinos and like native culture go hand in hand. I go, yeah, but sometimes it doesn't. And I feel like sometimes our youth are like kind of confused with that. Cause like I remember growing up, you know, like my dad teaching me how to bead and how to peyote stitch, you know, and then the next day my mom would throw on cumbias and teach me how to make tortillas. And that was just my day to day, like those two different cultures. And then, you know, it's that pivotal time once we get older, once we start getting more into, you know, our friend groups and, you know, honestly, like that middle school age, even you start seeing like everybody else's cultures and you see the common trend and you want to follow that common trend. So you kind of start being confused about like, well, I have the cumbias and tortillas, you know, in common with everybody else, but nobody else is at home getting taught how to peyote stitch. So why is it that I'm the only one? Like, what do I do with this now? Like, do I keep going? Do I stop and teach it and learn like banda now or something, you know?
Yeah, that again definitely can relate. But I'm glad that, you know, you stuck with it. Your dad took the time to teach you.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you end up meeting the rest of the indigenous community here in San Jose or the Bay Area or in California. And you get that sense of feeling that, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not by myself. There are other people on this weird, awkward journey back to reclaiming our indigeneity. So that's really beautiful to hear. So we're here with the Indian Health Center, and I have heard that you've been a long-standing IHC participant and member and possibly patient. Have you ever used the Indian Health Center services?
I believe I have. Yeah, I used our counseling department, I believe. Yeah, they're absolutely awesome. Always super, super helpful. I mean, like anything I need, I know they're always there for sure. And any of the other services, they're always reaching out. If I ever need their services, I know they always like kind of intertwine and make sure that, you know, all the patients are covered in every aspect.
Yeah. What has your experience been with the Indian Health Center, and how have we helped you? Have you participated in any of our programs?
Yeah, for sure. So when I was younger, I used to go to the our Indian Health Center's counseling youth group. I used to do that when we used to have it once a week, and now I have it once a month. And I try my best to make it out to there, but I used to go there every week. And it was always super nice. You know, you get to meet other Native youth from around San Jose. I really liked it. It was like always like nice and fun, and you got to make friends and all that. And I still talk with some of the people that I went to the youth group with. And I actually it's crazy. I started out going to the Indian Health Center song and dance class that we have every Tuesday. And now I'm actually a youth teacher at the dance class. So it's super cool to kind of go from like someone that like had just started out to like now being able to teach like other kids and even other adults sometimes, like, you know, like the ways and the teachings and the practices of just powwow song and dance.
Well, congratulations on that. It's a very different transition going from being a student to being a teacher, and you kind of see all the little nuances your previous teacher or mentor had to go through.
For real, yeah.
That's awesome to hear, and I'm hoping that you like your position so far.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, I mean, getting to, I feel like it really helps me connect with the community even more, and even like connect with myself, being a teacher and being able to do, that powwow song and dance class. It's kind of like, it's like a mind trip sometimes because, I had my teachers and the people teach me how to dance and everything. And so to now be able to teach someone else, it's like, oh my gosh, like people are looking to me now the way I used to look, at my teachers. And it's kind of just like a complete like 360 like mind trip.
Yeah, or now you've become the exemplar, the person who's showing them the example. So that's wonderful. In teaching or in any of the other programs at Indian Health Center that you've participated in, do you have any like memorable moments or things that just really stuck with you?
Yeah, for sure. I remember the first time I actually went to youth group. I didn't know anyone. I was maybe at the time 14, I would say. I was 14. I walked in and I remember I sat next to this young girl, and I remember we're just sitting there, and then all of a sudden we just got to talking, this and that. And then we like really connected. And I remember before my dad went to go pick me up, her mom picked her up. And it ended up being this young lady who now she's a woman. We used to be friends when we were like 4 or 5, back when my dad was like in the community more. And we used to be friends and run around together. And we just completely didn't even know until her mom came and picked her up. And she was like, oh my gosh, like, I don't remember you. And I was like, you do? And then she like started connecting the dots for us. So that was super cool to me because it was like, even though we used to be like very involved in the community, we stepped back, and then, me and my family, we came back, like we still have those connections. So that was one super cool moment. Another one was just happened recently at the song and dance class. We have a lot of different participants from different ages. The youngest, sometimes we'll get babies in there that, we'll have the moms carry them around just while the song is going, or even sometimes, people that are well into their, 70s, just trying to learn basic steps, trying to reconnect. And we had this one young participant. I remember like she had been coming for a few weeks, and then all of a sudden one week when she came, I was there and she was like, oh, I have something for you. And it was like, oh, like, sure, what's up? And she gave me a little drawing, and it was a drawing of me and her being jingle dress dancers. And I think after that, like, I was like, oh, how nice. I think I went to the bathroom and like sobbed for like a solid 10 minutes, and then came back and like taught the class. And like that was like a super important moment for me, I think, because that's when I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm still learning and I'm still a beginner, but like I take up space. I think that was the day and the time that I realized I take up space in this community. Like I'm here. Like people don't see me as someone like either just coming in or like, you're just a youth, like I'm a person that people can look to. Like I'm actually a member of this community. And I think that's when that really stuck with me heavy.
Especially like you were saying, them giving you the drawing. It just means that they took that time, they thought about you, and they had all that intention to give you the drawing and the time that they made it. You don't know how long they took making the drawing. I'm pretty sure it was beautiful. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad that you had that experience, and that you from that moment, your takeaway was that you have a place in the community. And eventually that's what we want all of our youth to be, and any of our communities, is the youth to be the future leaders. And so, you're climbing up that little ladder.
Yeah.
Great. In teaching or in participating in any of the Indian Health Center programs, what are some mistakes that you wish you would have known about, or lessons that you wish you would have learned before starting into this, being a part of this culture, or being a part of the community, anything like that?
I think something that I wish someone would have told me when I was coming in to like just powwow dancing in the community in general is that people are going to look at you and be like, who are you? People are going to look at you and be like, where did you come from? Who are you? Who are your parents? I think that's the most common question that I get asked are, who are your parents? What's your last name? Where do you come from? Oh, who do you know on that reservation, And I remember when I first started getting all those questions, it was like really hard because I'm such a loud person, and I'm such, I try to be self-reliant, even though sometimes I fail at it. I'm just very independent. So to be asked, like, well, where did you come from? And like, who's your family? Who's your mom? Who's your dad? It was kind of just like, why can't it be me? And like when you first come in, that's all you get. And I just wish someone would have told me like, it's okay, because the moment you get that first drawing from that little girl, or the moment that, you meet those people that don't care where you come from, don't care what your res is, don't care who your mom or your dad is, as soon as you meet those people, nothing else matters, because I found those people very quickly. There's always going to be people there that are going to question you and, try and dig at you and stuff, but it's the people that support you and the people that actually want to know you override everything else.
I'm glad. So even when you start to feel a little bit alienated just because you're new in the community and maybe their intentions are well, it's good to just keep in mind that, there will be those people that make you feel more part of the community and maybe aren't as gatekeepy.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's hard. Our community is so small, like you were sharing earlier. It took you a while. You're from San Jose, and it took you a few years to find the Native community here. And just, keeping in mind that the Native community, while it is quote unquote small compared to the population in San Jose, it's still one of the largest hubs of Indigenous people to be in a city, in an urban area. So I'm glad, again, you found your community. And then, like you were saying, your time spent here in the Indigenous community was made worthwhile by those people who appreciated you, gave you the drawing of you being jingle dress dancing with her, and just the folks who just make you feel like you're a part of the community.
Yeah.
And not like, who are you? What are you doing?
Exactly.
Here?
Yeah.
They're going, mean girls.
Right?
Doesn't even go here.
Doesn't even go like I do, I swear.
That's awesome. And for getting into the powwow community or just getting more in touch with your culture, are there any resources that you would recommend?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Indian Health Center, obviously we have so much, I think, resources that sometimes people, I think they're just kind of scared to reach out, or they really just don't know where to start. I remember that was my thing, is I just didn't know where to start. And that first push was just like going to our youth group. And then once I went to that youth group, that's how I found out about our powwow song and dance class every Tuesday, and that's when I was like, cool. And then after that, it's kind of just like everything, falls into place. We have, like our food drives, we have our youth workforce development. We have a bunch of different programs that I think people really just need to take advantage of, and don't be scared to put yourself out there, and don't be scared to ask, hey, where can I find this? Where can I find counseling resources? Where can I find, culture resources,
Yeah, that's really good. I'm glad that you found community and a sense of being or belonging from the Indian Health Center. There's just one of the avenues. Pretty sure there are any more. Similar for myself, I started with the Indian Health Center as a patient. And my first doctor, shout out to Dr. Priest. She is still a doctor, doctoring it up at the Indian Health Center. Dr. Julie Priest. I started off as a patient and let her know that I was an instructor for group exercise classes, and she let me know that there was a job opening at our community wellness and outreach department. And so from there, I applied and I got the job, and lo and behold, I've been with the agency for just about 9 years this November. Yeah. So I'm glad, the Indian Health Center is a place where folks can kind of come and ask questions and, not only feel a part of the Indigenous community here, but also get services like medical, dental, counseling. Mental health is really important, especially with folks who have generational trauma, such as ourselves, and just kind of weaving through this world of colonistic language and reclaiming our old terms and just our culture again.
Yeah.
That awkward journey.
Oh, yeah.
For forgetting it.
And it never makes sense when you try and describe it. That's what I love about like the Indian Health Center, is that you get to talk and you get to work with people that, share common struggles, because when you go out there into the urban world, San Jose, and like I challenge anyone, go out and try and describe like a sweat to anyone on the street, or like go out and try and describe like, what it means to be a fancy dancer or a jingle dress dancer or a grass dancer, and have them grasp
the magnitude of it, anything like that, or like tell them about the residential schools and tell them about generational trauma and try and have them grasp that, like it's going to be hard, anyone out there on the street. But when you're in the Indian Health Center, when you're in the, the Native community, like it makes sense. You get it because that's also like your trauma. Like I always say that, like it affects everyone. Everyone shares trauma. Like it's not like a one person problem where it's like that one person was going through that. It's like, no, like if one person went through it, we all went through it. Like we all go through it equally because like that's how this community works to me.
Yeah. From the Indian Health Center and just through your sense of belonging and how you feel that how you've grown through being an instructor with us or a powwow dance teacher. How would you describe the position or you're volunteering or?
Yeah, so I am an employee. I'm a dance instructor just because I'm a part of the Indian Health Youth Community Educator Program. So I'm an on-call youth community educator where basically we'll go out and we will work any events that we have. So like our Healing of Healers events that we have, our veterans events, all that stuff. And we'll just go and basically make sure everyone is taken care of. We do the setup, we do the cleanup, we'll, serve the elders, help whoever is, running the event in any way possible. So that's kind of how I started teaching the powwow song and dance class.
That's awesome. And then what do you feel is going to come next for you? Do you have any plans?
Yeah, I definitely do. As for in Indian Health Center or just
in general?
In general, the plan is, 17-year-old senior. Obviously, we're looking at colleges, so definitely aiming for that 4-year college. I would love to, stay in California, go to school, get my all the way up to my master's in social work and behavioral sciences, double major. It's going to be a struggle, but we got it. And then I would love to work with at-risk youth. That's kind of like what I want to do. That's like the thing that has always been drawn to me. And I've always said this ever since I was younger because people have always asked me, like, what did you want to do? And I went through that whole thing of like, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be an ER physician. I want to be a teacher, like I want to be a firefighter. And it was like, no, Neela, you don't like stairs. You can't be a firefighter. That is not going to work. But I remember I would always say, I would be like, honestly, all I want, I was like, is just to make a difference in at least one person's life, to the point where someone can look back on their life and be like, I remember there was this one woman that helped me significantly in X, Y, and Z. That's all I've ever wanted. And so right now for me, it makes the most sense just based off what I've seen growing up, what I've seen in, my community, my Native community, what I've seen in, my family, what I've seen in San Jose, in the San Jose community. For me, it makes the most sense for me to do that effectively by working with the youth. Because I think that's kind of where it all starts, when we're kids, when we're growing up, what we see, what we, feel, like everything that's around us, like that kind of sets us up, I think.
Learning how to process things, how to, express yourself, find the words. I know that was like one of my main issues when I was younger is I didn't know how to say anything. So when I did say something, it was just an explosion.
Yeah. I mean, I still have an issue, I think, with my words now because people tell me, they're like, why do you always sound like you want to argue? And I'm like, what do you mean I'm not? And I get all like, I'm not trying to argue. Why do you think I'm trying to argue? And then, like, I sound like I'm arguing. And I realize that it's just because when I speak, I've always just been so excited to speak that I like speak with such emotion and I'm so excited. So I speak fast and I speak loud. And when someone says something to me, I'll say something back and then they say something and then I say something. And to me, that's a conversation. And I was like, are you trying to argue? And I'm like, but I'm not. So even I'm still trying to learn, like the basic communication skills of the person.
Yeah, well, you've been doing great today. So don't worry there. And you don't argue, but you have a strong opinion.
Yes.
Strong feeling how you feel. It's perfectly fine. Yeah. That's awesome. I only recently started to embody that, just making sure that I'm firm in what I want to do.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you found that and, you're working on maybe bringing it back a little bit.
Gotta tone it down sometimes. We don't need to hear me from the next room. It's okay.
That's awesome.
What do you feel has, what difference has culture made in your life?
Oh my gosh. It's made all the difference. It honestly has. I think it has just become who I am. I think it's just helped me have an outlet, have something to believe in. Honestly, it gives me something to believe in. It gives me my hope. My culture, I think, gives me my hope and gives me my faith, because I know that I can rely back on that. You know, I can rely back on my values and, you know, my foundations and just where I've come from and what the goal is as a community. And I think, you know, I think without my culture, I would be so incredibly lost. And for that, I'm so grateful for this community. I'm so grateful for, you know, the Indian Health Center for letting me have an outlet. I'm so grateful for that song and dance class every Tuesday. I think I'm just so insanely grateful for my mom and dad, you know, and I think that without them helping me find my culture, you know, like, I don't think I would have any. And so I think we all kind of need that mentor. It doesn't even necessarily have to be our parents, but anyone like that, you know, like my parents, they drive me to all the powwows. You know, I drive myself to school, I drive myself to work, but when it comes to powwows, that's our family stuff. You know, like we all go to powwows. You know, like it was known that every week on Thursdays I had youth group. It's known every week on Tuesdays I have dance class. You know, and for my dad to sit down and have so much patience with 5-year-old me with a needle and thread, you know, and some seed beads and teach me how to peyote stitch. And for my mom to have so much patience with, you know, letting me watch, you know, powwow videos on the TV, on YouTube, you know, every day. And for her to just sit there and be like, yeah, like, all right, like, no Judge Judy for me tonight. We're watching powwow videos, you know, like I will just forever be so grateful for everything that they've done in making sure, because there was definitely times where I would say that I wanted to throw in the towel, for sure. You know, like working on projects and having bead snaps and needle snaps and, you know, just like things come out all wonky, you know, like your horse looks like a camel and like that is not a straight line at all, girl, you know, and you want to quit. And like my dad every day was just like, no, go grab the sage. And we saged ourselves off, grab another needle, grab another thread, grab another piece of canvas, whatever it was, we just kept going. You know, when I would dance, then I would either trip up on my own 2 feet or I would record myself and look back and just be like, I just don't look like I have it. I would just look at myself and be like, it doesn't look right. And my mom would be like, what about it doesn't look right? And I'd be like, me. And she was like, huh? Yeah, right. She'd be like, do it again. And I'm like, again? She'd be like, yeah, do it again. I do it again, right there in my living room or my backyard, whatever it was. She kept pushing me till I was able to cross my feet a certain way, till I was able to, you know, move a shawl a certain way, so I was able to get a bounce a certain way, you know. She kept pushing me. And I think without that, I probably would have lost a lot of myself a long time ago. So I think we kind of all just need that community, that mentorship, you know, just like someone to tell us, like, just stick with it. Keep going. I'll drive you to the powwow. I'll watch you dance for about 5 hours, you know, like I'll sit there while you make some earrings, you know, a beaded whatever, you know, like I will sit there.
Yeah. And then what I'm hearing is that your family helped also instill some of these coping mechanisms for like frustration, for, you know, for self-doubt, you know, for the frustration. Your dad told you to get the sage and, you know, you use that to help you calm down. Not only just letting the sage do its thing, but then also knowing that, okay, if I do get frustrated and annoyed with myself for not getting something the right way the first time, doesn't mean I can't go back and do it and eventually achieve my overall goal. Yeah. It's not the end of the world.
I think they knew what they were doing too, because parents always know what they're doing, you know, but I think they knew, especially with, you know, having me do those things there. at first I didn't really see the big picture, and be like, I just don't get it. But, now that I think I've grown up a bit, matured, been able to, understand my identity more, like, I get it. I see where I was raised. I see San Jose. I see, my school. And, I even see some family members, I see the things they do, the way they cope, see the way my friend copes, see the way, all that stuff. You see all that stuff, and, your first gut instinct is to be like, oh, that could never be. That's kind of like what we always say when I see, like, unfortunately, like the homeless community out in the streets, or, like someone that's intoxicated and, walking in front of the liquor store, you always say, oh, that can never be me. I would never let it get there. But when you really sit and think, you kind of got to think what led these people to this point. And if you were in those shoes, if you didn't have sage, if you didn't have, dance, if you didn't have beading or, anything like that, sewing, what makes you different? So I think it's those coping mechanisms that my parents really understood was going to be vital in raising me in the Bay Area and raising me in, this society that we have in general in this, colonized America.
Yeah. And that is a really good segue to the next question is, what does culture as medicine mean to you? And I feel like it's kind of reiterating this.
Yeah.
As we just touched on. Culture as medicine, I mean,
that's the key, culture, I feel like can help you, can aid you, can heal you in so many ways. I feel like when people think of medicine, they think, westernized pills and, injections and surgeries and all that. But I feel like, sometimes I'll just sit there and I'll be like, I can just use a really good sweat right now. Like, I think I told that to my friend the other day. I was like, honestly, like, I could just use a really good sweat right now. Everything would be so much better, or like if I could just double beat my problems away right now, like, and I think people like underestimate it a lot. And I think it's sad that it's underestimated, but I see our youth, that go to our youth sweats that we have and to our, our youth workforce and all that stuff. And I think, okay, like it's getting understood. People are understanding that like, this is what we need. We need this community. We need this culture. We need this in order to survive, because without it, we fail. And I will stand by that 100%. Without our culture, without our community, as a nation, we're gonna fail. As Indian country, as, a native indigenous nation, like we're gonna fail. And I feel like that kind of starts with our youth and also with our elders. We need to listen to our elders. We need to, make sure they're taken care of, because without them, we have no connection. Our teachings, very rarely are written in books. We didn't write in books, we just said everything to the person next to us. So if there's no person next to us anymore, what are we going to do? Which is why these podcasts are great, these podcasts, every pamphlet that Indian Health Center has, every, teaching or session or course that Indian Health Center provides, it kind of puts it in concrete to help every generation, I feel like, to come.
Yeah, we're continuing that oral history.
Yep.
How would you describe, since you feel that dancing is an outlet for you, a coping mechanism, a way for you to stay in touch with your culture, how would you describe the feeling that you get when you dance?
Euphoric. Honestly, euphoric. It's like, for lack of a better terms, it's like honestly such a natural high. Like I can't even find a word to describe it, because you think about, the songs that we dance to, and sometimes we get 2-minute songs and sometimes you get 6-minute songs. Sometimes our songs will be 2 push-ups, sometimes 4 push-ups. I've, heard of songs that sometimes will go 6 push-ups, just depending on what the song is, what the reason for the song is, how the drum's feeling. But when you're out there, you can't tell the difference, whether it's 2 minutes or 6 minutes, 2 push-ups or 6 push-ups. It's like you're just out there and your brain automatically goes. When you're out there, you're not thinking about, that report that you have due on Monday. You're not thinking about, hey, did I put the dishes away in the dishwasher, like you're out there and you're being you. And it's like, as soon as you step out there, it's like a feeling of, like I said, like you take up space. You're there. You are one of the dancers in that arena, just like everybody else. You have as much reason to be there as everybody else. And as soon as you start dancing, as soon as your feet start moving, as soon as you know that lead takes off, everything falls into place. Even if it's just for 4 minutes, even if it follows you for the next couple of days, all the pieces fall into place when you start dancing. When I start dancing, anyway.
You're like, I can only speak.
I'm like, I can only speak for myself. I know some people that'll like come off of songs and they'll be like, oh my God, that was torture. I can't do it. And I feel like that too sometimes. Like sometimes you get those songs that are like, that was great, but I don't know if I could do it again. But every time someone says, I don't know if I could do it again, they call for another one and they go right on out there because they love it. It's just something that we love. Even if it burns our calves and our arms are burning and we're out of breath, it's like, we love it. It's fun for us. It means something for us.
Yeah, it's not just for you. It's for your community.
Yeah.
It's a way to pray, a way to give thanks. So that's important. And I'm glad that, even if you are tired or you feel like your calf hurting or,
feel that crap coming in, yes.
Maybe didn't drink enough water, enough potassium.
Get your potassium, kids.
Yeah.
Bananas.
Yeah, that you still persevere and you push through it. So that's really great. And then before we go, do you have any advice to other Native youth in our community and beyond?
Gosh, I'm trying to think what I would want people to say to me when I first kind of started, I guess, coming back into the community. And I would say, honestly, like, there's no right or wrong way to live this life. There's not. And you can't let anyone tell you yes or no. You have your teachings, you have your ways, and you'll know in your heart what feels right and what doesn't. And, at the end of the day, like, we're really all we've got. So if we don't come together, no one's going to come together for us. No one's, since, what was it, 1490 something, Columbus sailed the ocean blue or whatever, like, no one's ever came together and been like, hey, like, look at this group of people that's been, like, insanely, like, traumatized and, hurt. Let's do something. Like, no one's going to do that for us. And I think we kind of got to realize that. So if I could just tell the youth, I would just say, keep pushing. Keep going. Do what you need to do to take care of yourself and utilize the resources. Because we're all here, We're all here for a reason, and we're all here to help each other. I think it's very rare that someone's going to say, oh, no, you can do it on your own, because we know what it's like to do it on our own. And I always say, like, I would never, ever, ever want anyone to do it on their own, like, I didn't do it on my own, and I still sometimes struggle. I can only imagine what it would be like to do it on your own. I think that would be awful. That would be more trauma, more chaos that would need to be unpacked, and we don't need any of that. That needs to go away. Like, we're over it. Then it's time to start healing. It's time to start moving. It's time to start uniting.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Neela. Thank you for your time and, sharing with us a little bit of your story and just a little bit of your family origins, how much culture has had an impact on your life, and what is an upcoming event that you will be at, either powwow dancing or speaking. Because again, your speaking aptitude is just top notch.
Oh, thank you. Let's see. I think up next for me is, of course, I will be at our Laughter is Medicine Gala. I'm super excited about that. Always love a good, little comedy jam. And of course, I do have my powwows coming up. I got some powwows in November. One of my favorite powwows, actually, other than, of course, my Stockton Community Powwow, UOP, other than that, is going to be the Tule River Powwow. And that is going to be going on November, I believe, 10th to the 12th. I know it's the weekend of Veterans Day. So little plug there for the Tule River Reservation. Their powwow, always super jamming, super cool people. So I'm super excited for that one.
And then I remember you saying that you taught our powwow dance and drum class.
what days and where is that at?
Of course, yeah. So that one is going to be every Tuesday at the Roosevelt Community Center. And it is going to be from 5:30 to 7 p.m. So 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday nights, Roosevelt Community Center right here in San Jose.
Awesome. So cool. We will have you at our IHC Gala, Laughter is Good Medicine, on November 17th. You'll be at the Tule River Powwow.
Yes.
On the weekend of Veterans Day. And then you also teach our classes on Tuesdays, 5:30 to 7:30 at Roosevelt Community Center.
Okay. I'm putting it in my memory bank now.
Yes. That's awesome. Again, thank you for joining us. And, just say goodbye.
Hi, thank you for having me. Stay safe, y'all.